I'd like to open up the meeting of the Dutchess County IDA, and I'm going to ask Jasmine to take roll call.
Jasmine?
Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened there.
Okay.
Tim Dean,
Here.
Mark Doyle,
Yes, here.
Kathy Bauer,
Here.
Jamie Picone,
Here.
Don Sagliano,
Here.
Al Torjani.
Okay. First thing I would like to ask is if there's anybody that has a conflict of interest on any of the items coming before us at this meeting. If so, could you please let us know by waving your hand or something? Okay, does not appear to be any conflict of interest. Proof of meeting notice, just to confirm that that was posted. Sarah?
Yes, proof of meeting notice was posted.
Okay. Are there any bills and communications that you wanted to discuss at this time?
No.
Okay. I would like to know if everybody's had a chance to review the minutes from the prior meeting. If so, if there are any corrections or modifications or changes that are needed at this time. Okay, hearing none, I would like to ask for a motion to approve the July 8th, 2020 minutes.
Mark Doyle, so moved.
Could I get a second?
Jamie Picone, second.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, all in favor? Actually, I'm going to ask Jasmine to take a roll call vote just to make sure that we confirm each vote.
Tim Dean,
Yes.
Mark Doyle,
Yes.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Jamie Picone,
Yes.
Don Sagliano,
Yes.
Al Torjani.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, report of the treasurer. Marilyn.
Good morning, Marilyn York speaking. Looking at the IDA balance sheet, nothing unusual. We have 2.3 million in cash currently. The only noteworthy thing is the current liabilities accounts payable of 175,000, and that is money owed to the LDC. I just haven't made a transfer yet because of our investments, and as long as I make that by the end of the year, that's fine. Looking at the P&L, as far as admin fees go, under income, we did get 40,000 in September for the Creek Drive, and we're figuring to end with not quite the deficit of 394,000. We're looking at closer to 330,000, so that's a good thing. Does anyone have any questions on the financial statements?
I do.
Yes, Don Sagliano.
Don Sagliano, what was, you mentioned something, you got money in from Creek what?
Oh, that was the closing, the 2328 Creek Drive project. That was our admin fee. That came in and just came in the first week of September, so I wanted you to.
How much was that admin fee?
Approximately 40,000.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Shooting back to the top, to the agenda. Okay, Sarah, are there any reports of committees that we need at this time?
No, no report of committees.
Okay, any unfinished business?
Nope, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. All right, so now we will move to new business. The first thing on the agenda is for consideration and approval of a final resolution concerning EFG Sabre Heritage SC LLC in the town of Poughkeepsie. Sarah, would you like to do a brief introduction on that, or is it Don that would do that?
Don.
Very well.
Okay, all right. So yeah, so before us is a letter amendment from MHTC and 45 Eastdale LLC. This is part of the master agreement
I'm sorry, this one here is, you said Eastdale. We're talking about Sabre Heritage?
Oh, I'm sorry. I've jumped ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
My material's backwards. You can just bear with me.
Sure.
So MHTC, or I'm sorry, Sabre Heritage, they're here for us to amend their scope of phase 1. We had approved, the board had approved this project back in March of 2019. At that time, phase 1 included what is considered east of Winslow, which included the ShopRite supermarket. As you remember, ShopRite Supermarket had come to the IDA earlier this year asking for a separate sales tax benefit. So we ended up removing them from the EFG Sabre project, and they became their own phase. In the meantime, Sabre Hudson Heritage has been moving very quickly through their project, and they are ready to begin on the area that is labeled west of Winslow. And with the sales tax benefit that was already approved by the board, they would like to use that towards the construction of that, and therefore ask for amendment to the existing agreement to include the west of Winslow, as well as emergency repairs to the administrative building. They have experienced some water damage, and they need to stabilize that building because as part of that project, they have been asked to try to restore and use that building. And so in order to ensure that, they need to make some emergency repairs.
Okay,
Yes.
so just a
May I
quick
just
question. Oh, go ahead, Don.
Yeah, may I just add that, so what happened was that the ShopRite portion, because ShopRite required that it actually own the land upon which it sits, that was carved out of the project. While there's an overall preliminary approval of the entire project, this was only phase 1 that they had EFG Sabre had previously received. So all that happened here is they want to move forward what would normally be part of phase 2, but they just, because similar number of jobs and it was part of the what was originally approved, they just moved they're asking to move the phase 1 line to cover this additional amount of work. They'll be back for more, I'm sure, after this is over with, but that's the purpose of this particular application.
I'm Don. This particular application is for sales tax abatement pilot.
There is no pilot with Hudson Heritage. It's just for sales tax.
I just wanted to clarify that. Also, there was some public comment about expressing a concern that the amount for the ShopRite had been moved away from the previous agreement, and the concern was expressed that we were actually exceeding the original amount because that was carved out. But I think what Don is saying is that, and Sarah, what you're saying is that we did take out the ShopRite and do it separately, but we anticipated that we would have other requests for tax abatement in the future from the existing project. So, it is true that we did approve and break out ShopRite separately from the package as an additional amount.
Yes, and because of concerns, we actually, to avoid any issues, we had a separate public hearing, and you received copies of the transcript of that public hearing.
So if there are future phases of this, we expect that they will come back for additional sales tax relief for additional phases. Is that correct?
Yes.
And those will be considered as additional things for approval and public hearings?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions about this?
I do. This is
Go ahead,
Mark.
Mark.
So in the case of both the original and the shopping center applications, we did cost benefit analyses. Is that correct, Sarah?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, I'm sorry if you can hear me. For both of the main project and the shopping center, can you hear me all right?
Yes, yes.
We did cost benefit analyses for both of those applications.
Correct.
And so, my understanding and, that the board would not have proceeded unless the cost benefit analysis in both cases indicated a significant benefit to the county. And I feel that that is in general, the work that we do with the IDA is to the overall benefit of the county, of the residents of the county.
So the answer, the question, or maybe I'm going to expound on that, is the application that we reviewed and approved previously, including the cost benefit, we have addressed the cost benefit of any of these new changes within that. Is that correct?
Correct. So the cost benefit was done on the entire scope
Right.
of the project. So it does, and by expanding it to include west of Winslow, it is consistent with what was, stated in the preliminary resolution and the application that the applicant had submitted to the IDA.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. So what I would like is a motion to approve the final resolution concerning EFG Sabre Heritage SC LLC, authorizing an amendment to the lease and project agreement dated June 1st, 2019, to expand the scope of the Phase 1 project to include an additional mixed-use commercial space and administrative building as part of the Phase 1 facility, for which mortgage tax exemption and sales tax exemption were previously granted. Would somebody be willing to make that motion?
I'll make that motion. This is Mark Doyle.
Thank you, Mark. Can I get a second from someone?
Don Sagliano, I'll second.
Thank you, Don. Jasmine, would you please take a roll call vote?
Yes. Jim Dean,
In favor?
Mark Doyle,
Yes, in favor.
Kathy Bauer,
In favor.
James McComb,
In favor.
Don Sagliano,
In favor.
Al Torjani.
In favor.
I would like to note for the record that Al has joined us, Al Torjana. So I just would like the minutes to reflect that he was here during the discussion for this final resolution. Is that correct, Don? You've been on during that discussion?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm sorry, Al, I apologize. Al, you participated in that prior to the vote, so I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Next thing on the agenda is the consideration and approval of a final resolution concerning Phase 2D of the Eastdale Village project. Sarah, would you like to just tee this up or kick it off and give a brief outline of what we're doing?
Yes. So, okay, so now it's MHTC. so MHTC is coming to the board to ask for approval to reallocate the benefits that were granted in the master agreement to 45 Eastdale LLC. So for the purposes of 27 Eastdale Avenue North, which is a commercial building in the Eastdale Villages development. The reason that they are coming from the board is, as the master agreement was written, those entities where MHTC is not the major owner of, that they would come to the board to ask for approval to grant them to these new entities. So that is why they're here. The owners are John Hedinger and Joe Kirchhoff and their family entities. So they are related, but as the master agreement, they are considered non-related.
Okay, so Don Capolino, so per the original agreement that we have approved, this is within the authority of the agreement that they are allowed to do this. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. They just have to come back to the board when it's a non-related entity, and so the board has to approve it. In fact, these are principles of MHDC, but because they don't represent 51% of the entity, they have to come in and get the board's approval.
Right. So the benefits being granted were already approved. It's just who they're being assigned to as the project is built up.
Exactly.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions from the board about this project? Okay, I just want to acknowledge, because again, there has been some questions from the public, and I did want to acknowledge that I personally received the copies of the public hearing minutes, as well as the emailed comments that were sent to Sarah directly from other members of the public. And so I have looked at those, and I am going to assume that the other board members did as well, since they received the same emails that I did. And I did not see anything in those comments personally that I felt warranted any further concern. There was mention about people having trusts and comments about the fact that someone may have a family trust makes them a bit more able to pay taxes than others. I have to say that I don't draw conclusions just because of the name of an entity sent in. Again, does anybody else from the board have any questions or comments after reviewing all the information that we received? Okay, hearing none, I would ask if I could get a motion for the approval of this final resolution as stated.
Salter again, I'll make a motion as stated.
Thank you, Al. Can I get a second from somebody?
Jamie Pacone will second it.
Thank you, Jamie. Jasmine, would you please take a roll call?
Yes, sure. Tim Dean,
In favor?
Mark Doyle,
Yes.
Kathy Bauer,
In favor.
Jamie Pacone,
In favor.
Don Sagliano,
In favor?
Al Torriani.
In favor?
Okay, thank you. With that approval has passed. Sarah, at this point, I'd like to see if there was a request, and I think it's a good idea, to just give us a quick update on the various projects that we have ongoing right now and where we are with them.
Sure. So real quick, two of them which you have heard this morning is the Arthur May redevelopment, the project in the Arlington Business District. The entity now owns the former school property. They are scheduled to have their IDA closing this fall, and then once they close, they hope to break ground in 2021. They're not exactly sure when. They're targeted for spring of 2021, but they don't have a definitive date on that. As Marilyn mentioned, 2328 Creek Drive, that is the project in the city of Beacon. They had their IDA closing last week, and they hope to begin construction immediately to get in before the winter ground gets too hard. So they'll be starting construction soon. Hudson Heritage is moving very quickly. As we saw this morning, they have asked for the inclusion of West of Winslow because they have signed some tenant agreements already for that area. So that is moving along quickly. 165 Overlook Road, they have already received their certificate of occupancy for a considerable amount of the buildings there. They have currently leased the buildings that have been completed, and they are pre-leasing the few buildings that are left under, that are still under construction. They have received over 250 applications for that area, and they have an extensive waiting list. So they're doing, so they're leasing that. Asahi Shuzo, that project is on hold. If you remember, back in April, they had come to the IDA and they had just notified us that due to the global impact of the pandemic and the impact on the food and beverage industry, that they were going to put that project on hold. They have no update since that time, and they had in April estimated that this this hold could be up to a year. So we're probably, since there is no update, it is assuming that it's up to a year. So maybe in the spring they will resume construction, but I haven't heard anything new since their last update. Eastdale, this morning I think they're still on the call, so if they want to provide an update of where they are in the project. But again, if you've driven by, it moves very quickly. They had opened their cottages just recently. I know John or Joe, if you'd like to provide a couple words on the status of your project.
We would be happy to. First of all, it's just nice to see everybody, and it's been a long time and an eventful several months since we were last before you. So we're thrilled to be back. Obviously, can't overstate how much we appreciate the ongoing support from the IDA and everything that Sarah mentioned as far as what's transpired on the site from the time we were last in front of you until today is in overwhelming amount due to our relationship with you and the support that we get and the understanding that we get from this group. We can provide an update, and I'll be glad to share my screen if that's okay.
While John's bringing that up, I'll just say that due to the COVID check-in process, we took Maryland's check-in system and kind of now tied it in with our COVID-19 health protocol check-in system. So there's over 100 people, construction workers on the job every day. They all line up 6 to 8 foot apart. They go around the back of our trailer. We have someone starting at 5:30 every morning, and she knows every person, looks at their ID, checks their temperature. They do question and answer about their health or their family's health or anybody they've been driving with. And it's quite a bit of time in the morning each day, but it is synced very well with our employee location and personnel tracking method. So that we work on with Maryland on a weekly basis. Some other little information. There is a major material delay and shortage that, I don't know if any of you have seen in your businesses, but that is another thing that we are on the job, just as some additional information that we're dealing with on a weekly basis.
Can everybody see my screen? You should see
Yes.
an elevation of 45 Eastdale. So just once again, thank you for the support on 45 Eastdale Avenue. This is an elevation of it. It's a 12,100 square foot mixed use building. From a design perspective, very much in keeping with what we have elsewhere on site. First floor commercial space fronting Eastdale Avenue with a navy blue composite trim and brick accents. and a James Hardy lab siding up on the second floor. If you go onto site, you'll see, and we'll show you some pictures in a second, of some of the awnings and signage opportunities that would harken back to a really traditional Northeast Main Street. Again, just enhances the character of the real estate and makes speaks to the unique nature of the Eastdale Village Main Street experience. The project's located on Eastdale Avenue North, adjacent to Premier Medical Group's the Urology Division headquarters, and across the street from the cottages. Just jumping ahead to get to our broader Eastdale update and what we've been doing since we saw you last, we are appreciative of the fact that there are occasions where we have to be, or we are asked to be back in front of the board speaking about the project, and there are other things that happen within Eastdale that don't necessarily require that, but at the same time are no less due to the IDA's support. So, development, generally speaking, is not a business that's for the faint of heart, and that has never been more true than in 2020. It requires a certain amount of conviction and fortitude to want to pursue a project like Eastdale, and a lot of sort of patience and endurance in doing that. And I can tell you clearly, and Joe will speak to this as well, that without the Dutchess County IDA supporting us and guiding us and helping us, not only would this project not be a reality, I think that the degree to which Dutchess County and Eastdale was buffered during the depths of COVID, which, in a lot of respects we are obviously still in, it's scary to think about what the impact would have been during this highly unusual time if not for the Dutchess County IDA. So, please accept our sincere gratitude, just for guiding us through this time and being there as such a stalwart for this project and for the community. It's not always obvious, how the IDA's, role and support manifests itself, but it doesn't make it any less important to you and to me and to anybody in the community what you do for us. So thank you very much. And just this map is just indicated to show kind of where we've been and what's going on. Obviously, the first phase of residential has been open and operating for some time. We're very pleased with the way that it's been received by the market. We think it's a very unique residential experience, almost singular in nature within Mid-Hudson Valley, and our residents are seeing that as well. We have seen, on the basis of the strong performance we've seen on the residential side in the first phase, we've had the conviction to obviously proceed full bore with the second phase of residential, which is another 88 units. You see those in blue bars, which are in various stages of construction and development. Again, we're very optimistic with the way that that's been received and the way that that's performed to date. On the commercial side on Main Street, Premier Medical Group has obviously previously completed and delivered. We've spoken about 45 Eastdale Avenue here. You have previously met with the Rossi family, who will be developing Rossi Eastdale at the corner of Route 44 and Eastdale Avenue North. And we are extremely proud of the recently completed cottages, which are directly across the street from 45 Eastdale Avenue, all of which are open and operating as of last month. And really, we'll show you some imagery of the cottages and the green that fronts them, and provide a little bit of insight into the businesses that are in them and the story around them, because it really speaks to, once again, the community benefit that the IDA brings to a project like Eastdale, and the marriage of the two really creates powerful opportunities on the commercial side. So this is a picture of the cottages. This is an actual picture as complete. And, it really is an extremely unique, at least in our opinion, type of project within a project that you would see in a new development. The lot is majority green space. It's intended to be a community gathering place, a place for people to congregate, relax, enjoy one another's company, and enjoy the wares of the businesses within the cottages. It's something that is intended to be sort of a destination within the destination, and a real compliment to not only everybody coming into the town center to enjoy the shopping and commercial opportunities along Main Street, but also the residents of Eastdale Village having another outlet and community gathering space outside. We also have there's just a drone shot so you can kind of get a sense for the makeup here. Again, a fairly unique project within the project, not something you would customarily see. We have a little pavilion and band shell for performances in the future. Once we can safely social gather again in mass, this will be a phenomenal venue for people to come together and enjoy the benefits of community. Some of the businesses that are in the cottages may be familiar to you, and some may not be. Again, I would strongly encourage anybody who has not been to these businesses to go and experience them. I would advise you to get there early if you do decide to go, because the macaron shop, the ice cream shop have been selling out almost daily. And these are really great stories to tell, because some of these businesses didn't even exist before Eastdale. Some existed but didn't have a physical commercial presence, and this is their first one. So they really weren't consumer-facing in a way that is in keeping with the ethos of this project and in keeping with the IDA's mission. Some had real estate challenges that couldn't be solved based on where they were, and some simply needed to grow while maintaining their own spaces. So Eastdale, for 4 different tenants, sort of solved 4 different needs, and that was possible because of the benefits provided by the IDA. And we would say that, the purveyors of these businesses would say that, and the successes that are being experienced are not only the businesses' successes, but they're Eastdale successes and they're the IDA successes. And so it's really important that it's important to Joe and myself that those stories be told and communicated.
John?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut your presentation short, but we do have a little bit of a time issue.
No problem. We could say nice things about the IDA all day.
Yes. And we appreciate it, but I think unless there's something bigger you want to also add, I think if you want to just wrap it up real quick.
We're good.
Joe, do you want to have any closing remarks?
No, I think that we'll wrap it up next time. There's other meetings that we're going to be going to. We'll show them further images and pictures, but thank you all for your time very much.
Yep.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Joe.
It's exciting to see the project and how it's building out. We're happy to see that it's working out, and that I see that walkable community concept, coming into play out there, which is really nice.
Thank you.
Okay, Sarah, is there any other projects that you wanted to talk about?
So the last project is the T-Rex Belfield project, a hotel that's being built across from the Culinary, and that one is under construction. They are moving forward that a little bit. From the road, it looks a little slower. They're doing the I guess the base, the foundation, and work on that. But when I spoke to them, they still expect to complete on time, which is the late spring of early summer of 2021.
Thank you. Many of these projects are, tourism and related and housing related and retail related. So the fact that some of them are not going to be ready until next spring in some ways is positive, because we won't have as much tourism until then. So their financial model hopefully will not be impacted too greatly if we can get through this pandemic between now and then. So I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so is there anything else? That's a wrap up. Does anybody have any questions about any of the projects that Sarah reviewed? Okay, I think that's it for the agenda. Is that correct, Sarah?
Correct.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to adjourn the IDA meeting, and we are,
Adjourn the.
yes, I'm sorry, I adjourned the meeting. Yes,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
thank you.
folks.
Bye now.